Well, hello, this is Marie, and welcome to our Learning Center. So today we are going to learn about the first three American astronauts to go to space, and then the first two that got out of Apollo 11, which was the spacecraft where the three astronauts went into space. And then those two astronauts stepped onto the moon. They were Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Edwin Buzz Aldrin. They call him Buzz after the character, or the other way around. They called Buzz, the character in Toy Story, after Edwin Buzz Aldrin. One of the astronauts to step onto the moon. The other one was Neil Armstrong. Think about Armstrong, yes? Michael Collins, he stayed in the spacecraft called Apollo 11. This was in the year of 1969, folks. A lot of things were happening in 1969, right? I mean, the civil rights movement was all over the 50s and 60s, and still a little bit into the 70s. The year before, in 1968, they assassinated Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's say that again. Reverend, because he was a reverend, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They assassinated him in 1968. Very sad. Then the following year, in 1969, America got up again with an incredible achievement. The first two American astronauts stepped onto the moon. So it was a period of sadness and devastation in 1968, but the following year, it was just miraculous. Who would ever thought that a human being could step onto the moon? And it was in the United States of America. Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin. 1969 on Apollo 11. So here we go. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the first two astronauts to walk on the moon, on Apollo 11 of 1969, 1969. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the first two astronauts to walk on the moon, the first two astronauts to walk on the moon. That was nice. Pluto, did you like that? Oh, Pluto liked it. All right, Pluto. So let's see if Pluto remembers. You know that Pluto likes to mess things up. Pluto, who were the first American astronauts to step onto the moon? Michael Jackson. No, not Michael Jackson. Pluto, get your act together. All right. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. What is going on with Pluto? No, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. And Michael Collins won but stayed in Apollo 11. By the way, do you know that Apollo 11 is named after the mythology god of music called Apollo? In mythology, there is a god of music. He's supposed to be the god of medicine and healing and beautiful music. And his name was Apollo. So remember, Apollo 11, where the first three astronauts went to space and two got out to step onto the moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. 1969. Here we go. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the first two astronauts to walk on the moon, on Apollo 11 of 1969, 1969. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the first two astronauts to walk on the moon, the first two astronauts to walk on the moon. That was great. And remember that in our last lesson, we learned about the 8 cycles of the moon. The new moon, the waxing crescent, the first quarter, and the waxing gibbous. The full moon is bright and high up in the sky. And then waning gibbous, last quarter. Waning crescent, and back to new moon. Let's sing it really quick. The new moon and the waxing crescent, the first quarter, and the waxing gibbous. The full moon is high and bright up in the sky. The full moon is high and bright up in the sky. The waning gibbous and the last quarter, the waning crescent, and back to new moon. The waning crescent and back to new moon. Now, if we can't sing it that fast, that's okay. Let's get our plate. Let's look at new moon. We can do this. The new moon and the waxing crescent, the first quarter, and the waxing gibbous. The full moon is high and bright up in the sky. The full moon is high and bright up in the sky. The waning gibbous and the last quarter or third quarter. The waning crescent and back to new moon. The waning crescent and back to new moon. All right, again. The new moon and the waxing crescent, the first quarter, and the waxing gibbous. The full moon is high and bright up in the sky. The full moon is high and bright up in the sky. The waning gibbous and the last quarter or third quarter. The waning crescent and back to new moon. That was pretty good, not bad. Remember, you can sing these songs without an instrument. It's to the melody of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or the ABCs. We can sing it. All right, let's sing it even faster. Let's go back to Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the first two astronauts to walk on the moon, on Apollo 11 of 1969, 1969. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the first two astronauts to walk on the moon, the first two astronauts to walk on the moon. That was wonderful. All right, thank you, and join us again next time. Remember to believe in yourself as Pluto believes in you. Okay.